Okay, can I have everybody's attention, please? We're going to go ahead and get started here this afternoon now, isn't it? So we have a scheduled balloon launch at 1 o'clock. So we're going to go ahead and get started with all of this. First of all, I'm Jim Hodson. I'm the executive director of the Fort Worth Aviation Museum. Very pleased to have you all here with us today, especially the awardees' families. Nick Rico and Anna Rico are not going to be able to be here today, and I'll talk about them in just a second. First of all, this month is the 108th anniversary of the first powered flight here in Fort Worth, which took place just right across the street from here. Pretty much where Bed Bath & Beyond is right now. But so we've got the park down the street, and we'll go down to the park and launch some balloons in commemoration of that afterwards. We started this awards program about 5 years ago to recognize and honor some people who have done some things over the years since 1912 or 1911. Who have done some things over the years to promote aviation here locally. A number of people have been recognized for that. Zim Zimmerman was recognized last year, I think it was, for the work that he's done over the last 25 years or so in promoting aviation and the aviation history here. We've recognized the B-36 Peacemaker Museum because those are the gentlemen who have been the stewards of the heritage of aviation here for many years now, longer than us, and we've been doing this now for about 20 years. A number of other people, Dawn Youngblood, who is the archivist and is keeping a lot of the records and things like that of our aviation heritage. Benny Keith we recognized a couple of years ago. If you're not aware of this, Benny Keith was the primary reason that the 3 Royal Flying Corps airfields were brought here to Fort Worth. It was his relationship with Benjamin Falloy and the people in Washington after they brought Camp Bowie here that brought the 3 Royal Flying Corps airfields here. In 1924, Eamon Carter and approximately 400 other local business and community leaders started what was referred to as the Fort Worth Aviation Club. The primary motive for that club was to promote aviation here locally. Out of their efforts came Meacham Field in 1925, and soon after that was commercial airlines and the airmail service here. So there's been a lot of people over the years, and we've tried to recognize them. Another one of the most recent ones was Robert Bass. For his work at preserving the American Airlines building at Meacham Field. So today we're going to honor Neil Anderson and Phil Ostreicher, along with Nick and Anna Rico. Again, Nick and Anna Rico won't be able to be here today. Nick is in the hospital, and Anna has recently gotten out of the hospital, so their health is not good. But those two people have been very instrumental in the museum being here for the 20 years that we've been here, especially the last 10 years or so. They have supported everything we've done. They've helped introduce us to people who would be helpful in moving us down the road. When we had things like we needed a new spray system for one of the airplanes, Anna said, "Nick, buy him a spray gun." So they went out and bought us a spray gun that's allowing us to do an airplane in one day, where in the past it would take days or weeks to do that. So. They've helped us too whenever we've needed a little help for programs and projects. Last year, Nick sponsored school bus grants for us so that we could bring JROTC kids to the museum on school buses. So all of the JROTC units of the, I think it was the middle school and up, came to visit us during the year last year, thanks to Nick providing bus service for us. So we wanted to recognize the two of them. So what we're going to, the next person we're going to talk about, I've got a little clip here. I figured that in some respects, if I can get it to come up. There we go. Yeah, don't be helpful today. So we'll let Phil speak for himself. I found in looking up some history on all of these, on both of these gentlemen. Very interesting histories. I was pleased to learn that they're both Marines because I'm a member of that proud group also. It turns out that both of them probably flew the RF-8 that we have at the museum. We know for sure that Neil did, and we think that Phil probably also did also. So what I've got a couple of short videos to let both of these gentlemen speak for themselves a little bit in terms of their careers and their history.
progressed to the point of a high-speed taxi run. We had done low-speed taxi. In fact, that's the way the airplane was rolled out and presented to the public, was it taxied up on its own power. Now, I had intended all the way along to put a little bit of daylight under the wheels, maybe a foot or two, fly about 1,000 feet down the runway and land it. And in the meantime, checking out the lateral or the roll response sensitivity. I started the run. The airplane accelerated very smartly, of course. Pulled the power back, and we had an unfortunate wiring problem in the airplane where the exhaust nozzle would not open up, thus killing thrust. The airplane was very sensitive and rolled. It rolled violently left, and I countered with an equally violent right command. We were all instantly in what's called a pilot-induced oscillation. The airplane rolling back and forth very quickly. It's turning left all this time. I could see it was going to go out into the dirt, so I just powered it up and let go of the controls, just let it fly away. And made a rather extended turn to the downwind, came around and landed. Most of the flight was done with me barely touching the stick, if at all. We had a full instrumentation system up and running, and we learned just an incredible amount of data about the airplane that we may not have even touched in the prototype test program. Now going to deliver the 4,500th airplane. Having been involved in the program from the very beginning, it gives me a great sense of pride, being very thankful to have been a member of the team that produced this remarkable milestone in combat aircraft, especially as measured by today's standards.
No, we've done that. Okay. So that was just Phil in his own words about Flight Zero, and I know I had this discussion with Rick not too long ago, and he said, with all the things I did, with all the airplanes I flew, everybody remembers me for that. Well, I think it's better to be remembered for something than to be forgotten. So we have that. I found it interesting, too, to learn that he'd been involved with the B-36 as an aeronautical engineer from that process, in addition to the F-16 and the F-111 and some other airplanes. So I'm going to ask Rick or whoever, the whole family, if you'd like to come up and be able to provide you with the 2019 Wings Award for Colonel. No, oops, wrong one. Oops, wrong one. Wrong one. It's still Lieutenant Colonel. Still Lieutenant Colonel Phil F. Ostreicher, USMC, retired in recognition of being one of the initial YF-16 prototype test pilots, who also flew the F-111 for General Dynamics.
All right.
So we're proud to have you as part of that group. Thank you. Look over here just a... Oh, here. He wants us to shake hands again.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
All right.
And you're welcome to talk if you like.
I really don't have anything much to say. Just remember, tomorrow is the 45th anniversary of Flight Zero.
Huh.
So that's kind of interesting. I'm sure my dad would have appreciated this greatly. He liked to be recognized. I know after a while he got tired of talking about Flight Zero, but he in his own humble way, he was very humble, and he was, kind of matter of fact about this stuff. But I think he would be pleased that people are remembering. Thank you.
I've got another one here also. And this is Neil. This one's a little bit longer.
I'm Neil Anderson. I live in Fort Worth, Texas. Recently retired from Lockheed Martin after 32 years.
Sorry, the sound isn't better on this one.
That was made at the 7th Bomb Wing reunion.
Oh, okay.
I'm a great fighter in the world, but it's on the fly. I enjoyed the Mirage series of airplanes from France. And most of all, I think I enjoyed some British fighters, the Hawker Hunter and the Hawker Sea series. So were you one of the original test pilots of the B-36? No, I didn't get to fly a B-36. I don't quite have enough gray hair for that. I wish I did. One of the B-36 volunteers to try to restore this airplane and make it available to our grandchildren. So how did you get involved in test flying these different aircraft? Well, I worked for Lockheed for a while as an engineer, and I left to train astronauts down in Houston. And they called me and asked me if I'd like to become a test pilot for them. I said, sure, and I came back. So were you ever sort of out there working with Chuck Yeager or any of the other famous test pilots? Oh, yeah. Chuck Yeager's a fairly good friend. Bob Hoover's a good friend. And quite a few of the other fellows are colleagues and all fine people. I enjoy them a lot. And you were in the Marine Corps for a while, I think. That's right. I served in the U.S. Marine Corps. I went through Navy Flight School and served in the Marine Corps after the Korean War. And then when I got out and got a bachelor's degree in aeronautical engineering and on down this course. And so how do you like to spend your time these days? Well, I'm retired and I own several airplanes and I operate them. I own a pretty large hangar. And
Yep. All right, I'm going to apologize for that. We've decided, excuse me. This is the first time we've done this here, and I can tell you that it's better to be here than it was out in the tent. The tent would get pretty cold. This weather actually today is pretty similar to what it was on the day of first flight, just a cold, blustery day. So, at any rate, I appreciate everybody being here. But as far as Neil's concerned, if you couldn't hear all of that, he was in the Marine Corps. He flew. He's in the General Dynamics Hall of Fame. He's also had 15,000 hours in I think he said over 240 different aircraft. And of course, he belly landed an airplane. It was 15. Got the number 1568, and I think we've probably all seen the picture of that. That airplane is going to be very special, or is very special to many of us, because what Ben found out for us, Ben Guttery, our collection manager, is that specific airplane, after it was left here, it went to Rome, New York, to the Air Force's test facility, antenna test facility. It's been there for the last 40 years, mostly up on a pedestal, upside down, backwards, all kinds of different positions, testing the antennas on a variety of different systems. We approached them several months ago to see if they still needed that airplane, and what we found out was that they thought that it had done its service, and that a good place for it would be to come back home. So we've been working very hard the last several months to get the airplane back. I can tell you that Kay Granger's office has been very instrumental in this, and on almost a weekly basis over the last several weeks, we've been in constant contact with them, as well as the people in Rome, New York, who want this airplane to come back to Fort Worth badly. They've got people who've spent their entire career on that airplane, working on that specific airplane. They want it to come back here. The stumbling block right now is dealing with the Air Force Museum. They're not sure how they can transfer to us. It quit being an airplane in terms of the Air Force 40 years ago. It's just considered equipment at this point. And they're trying to get it to figure out how to transfer it here and get it to us. So I was hoping I was going to be able to tell you today that we're going to get it. I can't tell you that for sure, but it looks very probable that that's going to happen. So it's going to be a fitting tribute, if we get it back here, to both Neil and Phil, both of who were so instrumental in the F-16 program, and putting Fort Worth on the map, or keeping it on the map, is one of the places that has done great things since the 1940s in terms of aviation and aerospace programs. So, without further, let's, if I can get Chuck, do you want to come up for this? This is the 2019 Wings Award presented in memory of Lieutenant Colonel Neil R. Anderson, USMC retired, in recognition of being one of the initial YF-16 prototype test pilots who also flew the YF-11 for General Dynamics and Lockheed Martin, and it has a picture of 1568 on the presentation.
Thank you very much. Dad would have loved this award. He loved this airplane, and he loved the restoration process of the B-36 also.
Yeah, that's where I first met him.
And we only wish we could have kept it in town, but at least it's alive and restored. And
that's it.
Living in Pima.
Yeah.
In one piece.
Yeah, it is. Thank you, Chuck.
Very much.
Appreciate it very much. So that concludes our program for today. We hope you enjoyed the lunch. Company's coming. So we hope you enjoyed the lunch. If you've got any comments about this program, we're going to be making up individual smaller presentations with the names of each year's recipients, and those are going to be on display in the museum later on. So we want to make sure that all of these fine people who have done so much to promote aviation here are recognized, and so that we can share that with the school kids who come through the museum, as well as the many local people and people from around the world, quite frankly. So I'll invite you now, if you like. We're going to progress down to the First Flight Park, which is just right down the street here, and at 1 o'clock we're going to launch some balloons. So if you're all welcome to do that. So thank you.
Pictures?
Pardon?
Like the groups and families?
Yeah, sure, we can do that. Yeah, we'll keep them here like after a wedding, right? So, so again, thanks for being here today. Some of them aren't climbing very fast.
The gold ones are leading the pack.
Okay, everybody say yay! Put your hand up there, thumb up. Yay! Another successful launch.
Yes, the fifth